Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to go over the difference of two squares, factorization. But before we do that, I want to explore something. I want to explore what happens when we multiply the following. We multiply a plus b by a minus b. And notice that both expressions are very similar in that both of them contain the same terms, right? They both have the terms a and b. It's just that in one of the expressions we're adding them, whereas in the other one we're subtracting them. Alright, so let's see what happens when we multiply this out. This is equal to a times a is a squared. Alright, and then a times negative b is just minus ab. Alright, and then we have b times a, which is ba, which can also be written as ab, right? Because the order doesn't matter since we're multiplying, so I can swap them around. And then finally we have b times negative b, which is just minus b squared. Alright, now something really cool happens in the middle. Notice that the two middle terms that we have, negative ab plus ab, they cancel each other out. Right? So the overall effect here is 0. And so all that remains is a squared minus b squared. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the difference of two squares, right? Difference meaning subtraction. We're subtracting two squares. We have a squared minus b squared. And so now if someone comes up to us and asks us, how do we factorize this? Well, now we know. I mean, initially it may look weird, right? Because a squared is basically a times a, and b squared is b times b. So it doesn't look like they have any common factors that we could pull out. But it turns out that we could simply, factorize this into this thing over here, right? All we got to do is we open up two sets of brackets, and we ask ourselves the question, what is the first thing that's being squared? Well, it's the a, right? We have a squared first. So I'm going to put an a here and an a here to get my a squared. And okay, what is the second term that's being squared? It's the b. So I'm going to put a b here and another b here to get my b squared. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a plus sign in one of the expressions, and I'm going to put a minus sign in the other one. And what that achieves is that it cancels out the middle terms, right? The middle terms are going to cancel each other out to give 0. So all that will remain after that is the first term squared, a squared, minus the second term squared, b squared. All right, and that's it. Okay, so let's try out a couple of examples here. Let's factorize x squared minus 4. Now, the first question we want to ask ourselves here is this the difference of two squares? Well, we have something squared here, obviously, right? We have x squared. And we have a minus sign, so it's looking good so far. What about the 4? Is 4 something squared? What number do we square to get 4? Well, 4 is 2 squared, right? We multiply 2 by itself to get 4. So this is equal to x squared minus 2 squared. Now some of you might say, okay, 4 is also negative 2 all squared, right? Negative 2 times negative 2 also gives me a 4. And you could also write down, negative 2 all squared. It's not going to change anything. At the end of the day, you're going to get the same answer. So I just wanted to point that out just in case you're wondering. So this is equal to, now I'm going to open up two sets of brackets. Now we know how to factorize this, right? Because it comes in the same form as the one we've seen previously. So this, just open up two sets of brackets. And okay, what is the first term that's being squared here? We have x. So I'm going to put an x and another x here to get my x squared. And the second thing that's being squared is a 2. So I'm going to put a 2 here and another 2 here to get my 2 squared. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a plus sign in one of the expressions and a minus in the other, and that's it. We have successfully factorized x squared minus 4. All right, so let's try out one more example. Let's factorize 8x squared minus 50. Now, this might be a little bit more challenging than the other ones because you might not apply the method of, difference of two squares factorization immediately. You might not be able to immediately, but let's see if we can, factorize this a little bit and then see if we can apply the method. All right, so the first thing I see here is an 8 and a 50. All right, so both of them are even, and so both of them have 2 as a factor, so I can pull out a 2. All right, pull out a 2, and I get, okay, 2 times what gives me 8x squared? 2 times 4x squared, right? And then we have a minus sign, so I'm going to keep it. And 2 times what gives me 50? 2 times 25 gives me 50, right? Okay, so are we done here? Well, maybe not. Now we got to ask ourselves the question, is this the difference of 2 squares? Well, let's look at the 4x squared here. Let's do some rough work. 4x squared. And let's try to break it down as much as we can. 4 is 2 times 2. And x squared is x times x. All right. Does it look like we're multiplying something by itself? Now, it might not be immediately noticeable, but I can rearrange this. I can write this as 2x multiplied by 2x. Right? So now we know what we multiply by itself to get 4x squared. We just multiplied 2x by itself. So 4x squared can be written as the quantity 2x all squared. Right? And the reason I put brackets here is to indicate that it's the entire thing squared, not just the x, it's also the 2. Okay? And so I can rewrite this now as 2 times now the quantity 2x all squared minus, what about 25? What number do we square to get 25? It's 5, right? 25 is 5 times 5. Right? So I'm going to write 25 as 5 squared. And again, you could write it as negative 5 all squared. It's not going to change anything. The answer at the end is going to be the same. All right. So now this comes in a form that we know how to factorize. So let's do it. Let's factorize this further. So 2 times, now we open up 2 sets of brackets, and we ask ourselves the question, what is the first term that's being squared? It's a 2x. So I'm going to put a 2x here, and a 2x here. And what's the second term that's being squared? Or what's the next number that's being squared? It's the 5. So I'm going to put a 5 here, and a 5 here. And in one of the expressions, I'm going to put a plus. The other one, I'm going to put a minus, and that is it. We have successfully factorized 8x squared minus 50. All right, and that's it, guys. So I hope that was simple enough. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section below. I'll try to get back to you. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you next time.